Put your finger on something. Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here. Happy day. Another interesting idiom. Put your finger on something. How do you put your finger on something to supersize, which means, of course, to grow or create the business of your dreams, whatever that means to you. How do you put your finger on something? This is one of those idioms that, despite researching, Googling, actually the amazing Google, I could not find the origin of it. I couldn't find when people started using it. I know it's an expression that I've grown up with. Of course, to put your finger on something means to pinpoint it, or to know precisely, or to be able to describe it precisely, to be able to restate exactly the time, the place, the event, the facts of what happened. Remember back in the old journalism days when journalism was really reporting the facts of situations and events, the who, what, where, when, why, and how, not all the editorializing or commentary, but what actually happened, reporting an event, and then you decided for yourself what it meant. Now there's so much fuzz around any type of reporting. But back in the day when we would put our finger on something, pinpoint something, you could actually put your finger on something and touch it. Okay, in this exact spot, that's where the rings come together. I don't know, the rings from my ring light. So even though we don't have a history of it, we inherently understand. We need to come to some understanding and agreement and use our senses wisely in order to make good decisions for our business, right? One of the best ways to put your finger on something is to investigate it, to ask questions, to actually dig into and try to find out what and why and how things happen in our business, in our environment, with our employees, with the people that we work with, our business partners, with our customers, so that we can come up with better solutions. If you've ever gone to the doctor because you're experiencing something, you're sick, or you've got, and you're not sure what it is. You think maybe it's a virus or a cold or the flu, but you're not sure. So you go to the doctor, you describe all your symptoms, and you are focusing on and describing your symptoms. He or she is looking for the things that will give them a clue so that they can make a diagnosis. So they're coming from a solution focus. Hey, I want to prescribe something to you, and the only way I can do that is if I diagnose exactly what's wrong with you. So they want to do tests and things to verify their suspicions or their hypothesis of what is actually wrong with you. You, on the other hand, just want to get to the root cause of what's wrong with you, so you make sure that you're and both parties usually want to get to the root cause, but it doesn't always work out that way. In my 20s, I had some major health challenges, and I was going to see eye specialists and rheumatoid people because I had arthritis problems and inflammation, and kidney specialist, nephrologist, that doesn't sound right, kidney specialists, right, because I had all kinds of systemic problems. And they ended up, my doctors and specialists, that was before they did this group and team diagnosis of people, they each one were treating me separately, and they were each giving me things to help with the symptoms that was in their area of expertise. And what ended up happening is they gave me this hodgepodge of medications with side effects that were worse for me than the underlying condition, the underlying whatever was causing the disease or the problems. And it turns out they couldn't diagnose it. Nobody could ever figure it out, and they didn't figure it out. They just, it's inflammation, and you've got all these issues, so we're just going to mask all the symptoms. And that ended up making me significantly worse and bedridden for actually years, versus if we as a team had figured out, okay, what is the root cause, what's the underlying issue that's triggering all of these systemic things. So when we come at problems from different perspectives, that can sometimes be valuable, but it can also sometimes cause us to be putting band-aids and treating symptoms instead of digging down and really understanding what's really going on here. I was a quality manager for over a quarter century in corporate America for all different size companies in a bunch of different industries. And the one thing that we learned in the quality function is that anything is freaking possible. As soon as you think something is impossible and can't happen, guess what? You'll be sent proof in the mail that shows you exactly something happened, right? And that the impossible thing happened. And then you have to backtrack that and unravel your processes and system and try to find out where in the process or system that quality defect, that failure, that challenge in your product or service happened. And you can just give somebody their money back and solve the problem and make them happy in some ways, or you can go and figure out what really happened and solve the problem and make sure it won't happen again in the future. Because I will tell you from experience, as soon as you just ignore the root cause of a problem, it's going to keep happening and showing up, and just putting band-aids on it isn't going to work for the long term. So we always want to, this put your finger on something reminds me of the need to really find out what's going on, really understand your processes and systems and where they can fail, so that you are continuously improving and providing the people that you serve with the best possible products and services that you can. The other thing that this idiom reminds me of is that we underestimate our own knowledge and wisdom in so many areas of our life, but especially in building and growing our businesses. So often we look to outside sources to give us the answer and to tell us what to do, or to look for a hack or a trick or a quick and easy fix, the magic button we want to put our finger on, that magic pill we can take to make everything be awesome in our business and in our life. And there just isn't one, right? And the truth is, we always know, you always know within you what is the right thing to do, what is the right direction for you to move within your life as well as within your business. So trust that knowing, trust that you have the ability, no matter what it is, to figure it out. It doesn't mean you won't go ask for guidance and ask for help and get information and do things, but you know if something feels right for you, if somebody else's system or process feels right for you or not. If it's right for you, you do it and you apply it to your business, and you grow really, really fast. If it isn't right, you tweak it and you test it and you keep moving forward until you get the results that you want. So those are some of the things that put your finger on the something remind me of. Would love to know what you think of this idiom, what your experience has been with it. I am big at digging into what really happened and unraveling it and thinking for myself versus just accepting things on face value. I kind of like to dig into stuff and investigate it. It's fun. So, love to know your experience with this idiom. Otherwise, if you have any questions or any idioms you would like me to look into or investigate, hopefully they're not like this one and I can't really find, there's no such thing as can't, but I didn't dig deep enough to really find, hey, when did somebody first start using this expression, put your finger on something? Because I think it's one of those that's so visual that we all intuitively understand it, because we can actually see and put our finger on something. If you've lost your car keys and you look for them and you find them and you've got them in your hand, you put your finger on them, you now know with 100% certainty where your car keys are. This works the same with our personal devices, our phones, I call it my camera, our cell phones and our personal electronic devices. Sometimes we lose them, and once we put our fingers on them, we know exactly where they are. So I believe that we should have a place for everything and put everything in its place so that we don't have to go looking for it. All right, have an absolutely awesome day. I will be with you tomorrow with another interesting idiom. What does it mean? Where does it come from? And how might you apply it to your business right now? Take care.